How many we got? We got a whole.
Recording in progress.
What'd you find? Some background, Casey, for your screen there, or you
Just blurred it.
All right, you're good to go.
we all set, Casey? Everybody in? Okay, time being approximately 7:30, the Franklin Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order. This meeting is being recorded and televised. A listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting will be held via the Zoom platform. You can go to the town's website, look up the ZBA, the login will be there. You may also join the meeting on your smartphone by calling 1-929-205-6099. For those looking to view the meeting, it can be viewed live at this time on Comcast 9 or Verizon 29. It's also streaming directly from Franklin TV's website. Visit franklin.tv and just click on the Town Hall TV channel.
Time being approximately 7:30 p.m., 121 Grove Street, Fairfield, Grove Street, Fairfield, Grove Street. Applicant is seeking a building permit to construct 330-unit multifamily development. The building permit is denied without a comprehensive permit from the ZBA.
Applicant present?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Richard Cornetta, representing the applicant. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I just want to ask if there's any abutters. Is there any abutters for this 121 Grove Street? All right, hearing none. Go ahead, Attorney Cornetta.
Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. If you may recall, we were back before you a couple of weeks ago. And at the close of that session, that hearing, there were a couple of outstanding matters. One being we wanted to revise the list of exemptions or waivers that we would be requesting pertaining to the project. And the second being that we were in active negotiation discussions with the town pertaining to potential mitigation contributions for the proposed impacts of the project. And I believe we have resolved both of those issues. You should have before you this evening a letter from our RJ O'Connor, which is our consulting engineering firm, dated March 26th, with an updated and greatly pared down list of exemptions that we would be requesting for the project. Additionally, you should have a letter from Fairfield dated March 25th, which is addressed to Mike Maglio and Gus Brown, which documents and memorializes the offered mitigation that Fairfield is offering based on a couple of sessions with the members of the town to discuss those impacts. We do have tonight with us John Shipe as well as Brian O'Connor from RJ O'Connor. If you're so inclined that you'd like to go through in more detail any of those waivers. And I believe also joining us tonight is Rob Hewitt of Fairfield, who could speak if you so are inclined regarding any of the mitigation that is being proposed.
Okay.
So with that, I would turn it back to you.
Okay, why don't we, just so everyone knows, and I don't have them in front of me, but I can bring them up pretty soon. We do have letters from a peer review engineer and a peer review for traffic study, and both of those are satisfied with what's gone on in the past few weeks to mitigate all the problems that were listed in their reports. That's what it says. I can dig them out and read them after. But in the meantime, Attorney Cornetta, why don't we just start with the let's just go down. Let me ask Mark. I got a quick question for you. Is he on the call?
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, Mark. Do we have to take each individual request for relief from the zoning bylaws each individually, or can we just reference the letter here and go with that?
If this were a subdivision, Mr. Chairman, then the law says that you have to show on the record that you considered each request for a waiver consciously, meaning that you had a motion and a second, in my opinion. There's no guidance like that for a comprehensive permit. I would suggest that you take them, if you don't want to do them individually, by the subject headings. So zoning waivers first, and then I'm looking at the old list here, not the current list. But then it goes to other Town of Franklin chapters, and it also has reference to stormwater management bylaw. So you could take them in that category if you wanted to. I wouldn't break it down any finer than that. I wouldn't
Okay.
accept a motion to accept all of them at the same time.
Okay, well, we'll do, let's start, and I know the members have been provided with a copy of this. It's the list of requested exemptions and zoning summary table for the project. And it starts with the first heading is Franklin zoning bylaw, Franklin code, chapter 185. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them, but once you've had a chance to look at them, the members, if you have any questions, I'm sure we get the answers, or if not, if you've read them and you're all set with that part of it, I'll entertain a motion to grant those waivers requested by the applicant.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to grant those waivers requested under the Franklin zoning bylaw, code 185. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of those waivers before we take the vote on them? Okay. I don't think there was anybody in the audience. Is there anybody in the audience that has a question or a comment? Okay. Hearing none, the vote will come on the requested waivers under Franklin zoning bylaw code chapter 185. It's going to be a roll call vote. All those in favor, Archie, all those, we'll call for the vote. I vote means yes, no vote means no. Archie? You muted again, Archie?
I said yes.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Philip?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay, that wraps up that section. Next one, Franklin Stormwater Management Bylaw, Chapter 153. There's a few sections in here: fees, surety, groundwater, drainage pipe, minimum cover, each outfall drain, and that's it. Goes down after the next 181. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to grant the waivers listed for the Franklin subdivision of land stormwater management regulations, chapter 300-11. Except I got a question. Attorney Canetta, there's one in here that was brought up today that I don't think that we've ever waived. It's about, I'm pretty sure it's under here. It's got to do with fees. Where the hell did I see that? Is it in here? Is it in this section? Drainage pipes.
153.9.
I think that's what it was. I remember writing it down today, but I don't know where it was. Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. So, I was on the next page down. That's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you may, just for clarity, right now you're on the chapter 153 stormwater. I think you may have jumped ahead.
I did. I went to land use and subdivision water management, Franklin Stormwater Management Bylaw, chapter 153. This is the one. Payment of review fees. I guess that one's been talked about a little bit. I don't think it all adds up to a whole lot of money from what I was told. So I don't think that the applicant would have any problem covering these fees.
That's correct.
Is that John Scheid?
Yeah, that's correct. If you want to strike that, we're okay with it.
Okay.
So any motion then, Mr. Chairman, this is Mark Bobrowski, should state that this 153.9 request for fee waivers has been removed from the list.
Yeah, there's only 3 of them on there, but we'll anyway. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the requested waivers, except for the one in bylaw section 153-9 fees, payment of review fees, which the applicant has agreed that they'll pay. So we're talking about 153-10, 153-15.a, parentheses 9, groundwater levels measured. I'm sure they've been measured to
Well-
death between now and then. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, those are separate, Mr. Chairman, sorry, this is John. Those are separate waiver requests. 153.9, I understand, is the one that's,
That's the one that we're
question?
taking. That's the one we're taking out.
Right, okay, the others
Yeah.
would remain.
The other two, I've just said what the other two were because
I'm
there's only
sorry.
two of them.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Philip,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Okay, now we'll move down to Franklin Subdivision of Land Stormwater Management Regulations, Chapter 300-11. This talks about some piping and minimum cover over the pipe, structures and manhole drains, and I don't think there was any objections with all the discussion that went on about these. So I'll entertain a motion to grant the waivers requested under Franklin Subdivision of Land Stormwater Management Regulations, Chapter 300-11.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant those waivers. Roll call vote. The chair votes yes. Philip,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Next on the list of exemptions is Franklin, under Chapter Franklin Chapter 181, Wetlands Protection Bylaw. There's a number of these. Well, they all fall under the Conservation Commission, but we'll do that chapter separately. I'm sorry, somebody wanted to speak? Okay. Hearing nothing. All right, there's two under the Chapter 181 Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The applicants asked for a couple of waivers on section 181-1 and 181-2. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, it's Mark Bobrowski again. Has the Conservation Commission weighed in here?
Has the Conservation Commission, we got a letter from them, yes.
What'd they say?
They said that they were willing to work with the applicant.
Did they make a recommendation as to whether you should approve the waivers or not?
They, I don't have that memo right in front of me. It did say something. Well, I think the gist of it, Mark, was, yeah, they didn't want us to give any of the waivers. But they also said in the letter, the last letter we got, Casey, can you bring that up? I got it somewhere here. Let me look. I think you got it, Mark. We got it a while ago.
Was it one of the letters that I got on the email of the 14th?
I got to get in there and see. I don't really know. Hang on. I got them all in a file. I just got to get to that file.
My name isn't there, so I'm hoping I'm muted.
No, you're not.
You're not.
Let me just see. I got two of the possibles. Let me see this one. Don't have anything that's, oh, wait a minute. No, that's from the other guys. we got a letter from, Mark, I think the gist of it was, and I can find it before you write the decision, but I think the gist of it was that they were probably didn't want us to grant as many waivers as they requested, but they said they were willing to work with the applicant. I would think that if I asked the applicant the same thing, that I'd get the same answer for them. Mr. Canada, Attorney Canada, would the applicant be willing to work with the Concom?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the members of our team have been working with the Conservation Commission for some time now, as you know. And we have pared down this list of waivers quite considerably. And I do believe if you look at the content of the waivers that are being requested, they're primarily ones in which that would be required for the project to proceed. But they will continue to work with the Conservation Commission to adhere to the bylaw as closely as they could. But with that said,
My focus, Mr. Chairman, is on the universality of the waivers. When it says the project is to be subject solely to the Wetlands Protection Act, that's a blanket waiver. So
No, they got them all listed, Mark. They're all listed in a request. You want me to go through them individually, I can do that. But, you know, they're all.
I'm just looking at the list that I got revised 326. So I'm well aware of the dynamic here. It's frequent that the applicant asks the Conservation Commission to give an opinion to the Board of Appeals under the local wetlands bylaw or local Board of Health regulations or local sewer regulations or local fee regulations. And I'm always conscious of the fact that the other boards put some time and effort into responding. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that the Conservation Commission may have responded in whatever manner they did, and that the board is going to proceed accordingly. That's all. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Well, everybody should be aware that we got two separate things from the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
So, you know, one was a little bit harsher than the first one was a little bit, the second one was a little bit harsher than the first one. But I don't think I read anything in there where they were saying that the project should be denied. It just said that they were willing to work with the applicant. So I figure that by granting these waivers as requested, and we get the applicant to say that they're willing to work with the Concom, which they have. I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth on this project. They've already got, the Concom already has their own peer review. You know, that's reviewing the project now. They're already before the Concom, you know, so I think they probably should have waited until they came through us to go to the Concom, but they started and it is what it is. So they're there. But which one's that, Casey? Is that dated? Hang on, I think I got one just came to me. Casey, you got that one? Send it to Mark. Hang on, I'm getting it now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this was definitely the one that was sent out on February 8th of 2024. It's being delivered on the thing. Anyway, did Casey, did you send that to Mark? Oh, wait a minute, maybe I can forward it to him from here.
I did.
Okay.
I just got it. Thank you.
Okay. They've been circulated around, Mark, and it's not a secret.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, while I'm on a hot streak, can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
On page 3 at the very top, out of the blue comes, the applicant also requests waivers from otherwise applicable building permit and water and sewer fees as to the affordable units.
Think they dropped that?
No, that was just that was in the material affecting the stormwater management bylaw, payment of review fees. That's what they dropped. And that was chapter
No, but I mean,
150.
does it even show up? Does it even show up? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I'm looking at the document that was dated 3/26, and it's
Okay.
right on the top of page 3 above the zoning table. So I just wonder whether or not Gus has weighed in on the building permit waiver, fee waiver, and DPW's weighed in on water and sewer fees.
I don't know, the DPW and the building department negotiated the mitigation settlement, so I don't know if they talked about it or not.
Mr. Chairman,
There we go. I was gonna ask if Gus was here. Go ahead, Gus.
through the chair to Mark Babowski, we have discussed that. There hasn't been a finalized item, but we are doing that now with some of the affordables in town. We are reducing the building fees, but not waiving them completely. If that amount needs to be finalized before the decision is written or included in the decision, that can be done.
That would be my preference.
Yeah,
Gus.
and this is not just this project, this is affordables that have come before us, but it will not waive all the fees. So I can get working on that too, make sure that that's finalized.
Are you suggesting that you won't waive all the fees for just the affordables? I mean,
We never got that far. If
Okay.
there is something that creates a problem with waiving the fees for the affordables, I don't think it does. That's something that I'll talk with the owner about.
I mean, it was a very common thing that the affordables would have their building permit fees waived
Right.
prior to 2008 when Lehman Brothers crashed. After that, I rarely have seen a blanket waiver of building permit fees for the affordable units. And the same would be true for water and sewer as to the affordable units. So I'm just, that's a big chunk of change. I just want to make sure I'm not taking money out of your budget, Gus, that's all.
Mark, are you at liberty to say what that's been in your history with the affordables?
As I said earlier in the game, roughly a dozen years ago now,
It was all
it was very common that there would be a waiver of 25% of the building permits because 25% of the units are affordable.
right.
But I've rarely seen that in the last 14, 15 years.
I guess my question is, there has been some waiving of some of the fees.
Yeah, you can do it if you want to. I just want to make sure that this is something that's not going to catch your fiscal year planning by surprise.
I have other comments about the letter that was submitted on March 25th about the sewer infrastructure that didn't sit too well with me. So I want to discuss that at some point. I would wait, I believe, until that letter gets brought up, and then I can tie that into the fees as well.
Mark, were you talking about the fees for the building permits? What was that now? What, page 3 or something?
So this is on their letterhead, I think, Fairfield. And at the very top of page 3, just after page 2 of 7, there's a sentence that's sort of a standalone. It says, the applicant also requests waivers from otherwise applicable building permit and water and sewer fees as to the affordable units. And then it goes on and goes into a zoning table, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah.
So it's that fee request, waiver request just sort of snuck in there. No speaking negatively about it, but the placement kind of caught my eye. And I just want to make sure that we're not doing something unless everybody understands what we're doing.
Mr. Chairman?
Attorney Canetta, want to chime in on that?
I would defer on this topic to either John Shipe or Rob Hewitt, who participated in discussion of these waivers. Rob, I don't know if you're on the call.
Rob, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Attorney Canetta, Mr. Brown. Yes, we typically ask for waivers from fees associated with the affordable units, as those have very little benefit to us in terms of the overall development. And oftentimes that is a benefit to the town. In some cases, towns are willing to waive those fees depending on the cooperation level and how they see the project. So we think it's appropriate to ask. But I'd be happy to discuss in more detail with Mr. Brown. I did write the mitigation letter, what I thought was consistent with our conversations, but if there's anything that needs to be discussed before, the conditions are finalized, I'd be happy to meet or talk anytime with Mr. Brown or others.
Okay, before we go any further, he mentioned the sewage infrastructure. What was your understanding of of this letter that you gave us maybe we can get to the bottom of that right off the get-go?
Sure, and I was attempting to be clear, but it's a little bit confusing in that we've offered a total amount mitigation package of $750,000, of which some is comprised of anticipated sewer mitigation. The way I understand it, we would either be required to construct an on-site storage tank that holds and discharges the sewer at off-peak hours, or contribute an amount of money to improvements for the local pump station or infrastructure. And what we had discussed was whatever was the smaller amount of that would be the contribution by us, the applicant. And the remainder of that $750,000 would be to be used by the town for other improvements in the area at their discretion. Things like sidewalks, improvements to the multi-use trail on Grove Street, etc., were things that I had heard. The estimates that I've heard talking with town staff was that the sewer mitigation amount would not exceed $150,000. So therefore, the remaining of the mitigation would be approximately $600,000 for use for other improvements as deemed by the town. So that's what I attempted to write in that letter. Hopefully that came across.
Gus, what was your problem with that?
Mr. Chairman, it's an amount that is going to cut into that 750,000 to the tune of possibly 150,000. So that brings us down to 600. Seeing it on paper versus the day that we talked about it is not sitting well with me right now. It's a lot of money to take out of what he's contributing, what the proponent is contributing to the town. And then to waive some of the fees as well.
What do you anticipate those building fees would be on 80 units of affordable housing?
I would have to look at the square footage.
Rob, do you know what the square footage are of those units? I mean, I know there's some threes, there's some twos, there's some ones, but what would the average square footage be of those units?
The average is around 1,000 square foot per unit. Rough justice.
Okay.
Give me a chance, please, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Do some math here.
Yep.
What do you figure your cost will be, Rob? On that 1,000 square feet? Is it 200 a square foot? Is it 300 a square foot?
I would have to look up that because I'm sorry I don't have that right here.
Okay. I'm gonna put 200 square foot in just for an example here.
Be 200,000 times 80. What's that come up to be? 1.6.
Yeah. You're faster than me, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, numbers, all numbers.
Yes. I just want to double check it.
Don't trust me.
So that's 80 units. Actually, I came up with let me check that one more time. I came up with 16,000. That might be wrong.
Yeah, you gotta add some zeros in there, I think.
Yeah.
$10 would be, $100 would be 8,000, would be 1,000 times 80 would be 80.
So I come up with 16 million, not 1.6. Is that correct, Rob?
I think it is.
Okay.
So at that,
Term-
at
In
$10,
terms of the value of the
Yeah.
construction costs or the
Yeah.
building permit fee?
yeah, at $10 per thousand, that's $160,000. If we waive all the fees, and that's a big chunk taken out of our budget. And I know you're looking for some of it as well from DPW. And like I said earlier, excuse me, cutting into that $750,000 that you would contribute to the town takes 320,000 basically. Well, 310,000 off of that 750.
What's the building permit fee, Gus? How much a square foot?
It's figured by
Oh, is it?
$10 per thousand. I figured 200 per square foot, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, okay. So that would be, 160,000 for the building permit fees for those.
And I think that 200 is probably low, Gus. I know you're estimating, but
I wouldn't disagree, Chris. I know it's a large building, but I know some of the stretch code things that are going to have to be done in the future are added to that as well. So.
Yes, while we've been in process with this development, the stretch code has added significant, as you know, to the cost of construction.
Mm-hmm. Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's that if we did the math, 310 off of that is 440,000. You know, the cost of materials with everything that the town does, it takes a big bite out of it.
Understood.
Did you get an estimate for the sidewalk, Gus, from the project down to Beaver Street? Anybody get any numbers for that?
I don't believe that was ever submitted. Casey, was that?
No, nobody ever told us. No, nobody ever told. I'm just asking if you and Mike had to talk, if Mike looked into it to see how much it would be.
Because of the length of some of the infrastructure that we looked at, honestly, 750,000 wouldn't touch most of it. Just being honest here.
The only, the sewage mitigation is a direct impact from the development. If it's needed, we still have to do that study to figure out if any improvements to the plant or an on-site plant are needed. If it's not, which was our initial indication, then the entire amount would be available to the town. But putting that aside, we had hoped that we'd get some consideration given all the affordable units we're providing for some reduction of the fees. But if, it's up to you whether you support that or not.
Gus,
Yes.
on the other projects that you mentioned, where the fees are not being applied? Is there a dollar amount or a percentage that might be applicable here?
If everyone has a second, I can pull that up too. There's a property on the north side, actually the northeast side of town, that is a fully affordable, or every unit is affordable with what they're going to build there. And we've actually taken and given them a reduction in the fees because of them being all affordable. And I'm going to try to pull up that amount right now, what we've actually done.
What are we talking about, Pleasant Street?
I don't know that this, yes, I don't know that this is the venue to do all this in, with comparing another project and throwing out an amount at a public hearing. I guess I would defer to Mark Babowski and just make sure that if I do find this amount that we've talked about with this other project, and at this point, I'm not sure if it's a public record because they have not pulled building permits.
Must be something in the decision that says you're going to do that. That's public record.
Yeah. Good point, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm sure we didn't dream it up, so.
No, I agree. Casey, can you help me with that at all?
I might be able to find it. Wherever it may have gone. Let me see. Documents. Yeah. Let's see. When did we do that, Gus? Was that 2003 or was it?
Yeah, it was 2002, actually.
Okay, that's why
it spilled over into 2003.
Yeah, I don't have any. It was Pleasant Street. Just looking for.
So this is a public record letter, so I don't have a problem reading it.
Okay, go ahead.
During this hearing. This was dated in early 2023. This is to John Harding, project manager of Community Builders, and this has to do with 237 Pleasant Street, proposed 64-unit affordable housing project. This is from me to John Harding. You have agreed to install all road improvement infrastructure on Pleasant Street for the above reference project and pay for the cost of materials, installation, and labor per the approved plan for said project. Also, because both the developer is a nonprofit and the proposed development will be 100% affordable, I, as the Franklin Building Commissioner, agree to charge 50% of the normal building department fees on this project. This does not include any reduction in our mechanical fees. So this is a 100% affordable project, and they are a nonprofit. And this is not the case with 121 Grove Street.
Yeah, I think a better example, Mr. Chairman, would be comp would be Weston Woods, which was 280 dwelling units.
Yeah, I think I got that one on my computer too. No.
I have the decision, but I don't have the waiver list. It was Appendix D to the decision. I don't have the recorded copy in this laptop. It's a new laptop.
Yeah, let me see. I know I had it one time. Let's see. Yeah, Weston Woods was a different name. It was a different name than what it's called right now. You know that.
Yes, it was. The applicant at the time was like Acme Jazz or something.
Yeah, I think it was one of the what do you call it? It was one of the people that was one of the heirs to the EMC company that started it, because that's what they were going to do. They were going to build a, you know, I don't have it here. I don't think, you know, no, I got all the plans. I don't think I don't have that decision.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd like to speak about this project if I could, 121 Grove Street that we're talking about today. I've supported this project from the beginning. This piece of land that is the potential site for this project has had a lot of talk about how wet it is and so forth and so on. And the fact that no one's developed this, which is something you brought up during one of the hearings, Mr. Chairman, no one's developed this property. At this point, if the 330 gets approved through the Zoning Board of Appeals, I feel like the proponent is getting exactly what he asked for. And I feel that as a town of Franklin, we're taking a lesser amount to get some of the work done that we want done on this project. I feel like it's being, and I hate to use this term, but I feel like it's being nickel and dimed right now. And
Well,
again,
I agree with you 100%. I feel it's being nickel and dime too.
and I just feel like,
maybe in a different way than you feel, but go ahead.
you know, and I feel like if the proponents that are here tonight have anything they want to add to this, not in monetary amount, but in vernacular, I'm all ears.
Rob, he's throwing it back to you.
Yes, well, I'm reacting to, I guess, a new discussion here, but I understand the position. The town needs to do their inspections, implement water and sewer improvements. That's what they use the funds for, whether they're market or affordable rate units. So I'm willing to drop that request for the waivers. We would pay the full freight on the fees. But I do stand by the mitigation, which I think is appropriate for this project. And I think there's significant amount of mitigation that has been offered above and beyond mitigating the impacts. To your point, Gus, if we are required to do some on-site sewer improvements, you know, I can cover that from our side. So you can be guaranteed that the $750,000 is discretionary funds to build sidewalks or whatever other uses the town deems necessary. So that's as far as I can go tonight without going back to the drawing board about a bit internally.
So just so we're clear that you're pulling away the waiving of any fees by the town for permits and so forth?
That sentence that was above the zoning table that we've been discussing, correct. My sense is that you aren't supportive of that waiver request, so yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, we didn't even, be honest with you, Rob, we never even talked about that because it wasn't in with anything in particular, I don't think, but whatever, you know, it wasn't in the chat of you know, whatever. But anyway, what you want to.
Well, yeah, Mr. Brown is correct. We did discuss it, but we didn't really come to a conclusion. So I may have overreached by including that. So I apologize. If that's the position, I'm in a spirit of cooperation, and I think we've had a good working relationship with the town departments up to this point. I'd hate to see that go sideways, given our long history with the town at Dean Avenue, as well as pursuit of this project.
Okay, so you're withdrawing that one or two sentence request that falls in after. I can find it here. Okay, well, it falls in after. Page 3, I thought he said.
Very top.
Yeah, I thought, yeah. Well, I was down a little bit more than that. Okay, it's on page 3, yeah. The applicant also requests waivers from otherwise applicable building permits and water and sewer fees as to the affordable units. So we're going to strike that off of that. And I don't know where we approved it. Maybe it was under that section of the first one, Franklin zoning bylaw code 185. It's not listed as a code, but we'll strike that sentence. Those two sentences out of page 3 at the top of the page. You got that, Mark?
Got it.
Do we have to revote that now?
No, I think it was a separate thing. I didn't include it as part of the zoning because it's talking about water.
Yeah, it was in there.
About water and sewer fees.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. I mentioned most of the other ones by number, but anyway, okay. Okay, now we're back to the waivers. Where did we go from? Where did we leave off? Wetlands protection bylaw, or are we back down? Or are we down to Conservation Commission bylaws? The local bylaws. I think we got through that top piece because there was only 2 things there.
I believe, Mr. Chairman, you left off on chapter 181, wetlands protection.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't.
Talking about the local regulations. Yeah. Okay. I don't think that these are anything that we haven't given for any other affordable housing project, at least 40Bs, since I've been involved with the board. As the conservation says in their letter, they're willing to work with the developer, and I think the developer's willing to work with them. They have for the last about a year, I think, almost. But so with that being said, I'd entertain, section 2 for performance standards, section 4.1.2, section 4.1.3, section 4.1.4, section 7.11.2, section 7.13.1, and section 7.18.1.5. Those are the waiver requests that they've asked for, and I'm so inclined to entertain a motion for that.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Does anybody want to discuss this? Gus, did you want to say anything on this?
Which part?
The local regulations of the Conservation Commission that the applicant's asking to waive.
I think we've talked about it in the last meeting we had with the Concom agent, Bricolai, and most of the side that's here as a proponent that they're willing to, the Concom is willing to work, and Concom agent is willing to work with the proponent. That's what I got out of the meeting.
Okay. All right. And the applicant's already agreed to work with the conservation agent on any of these waivers that we've granted.
That is correct. Mr. Chairman, for clarity, when you're indicating your vote on this, you're including chapter 181. So it's section 181.1, 181.2, and then I think you also went down to the Conservation Commission bylaws in chapter 271.
Yeah, we already did that other one, that the shot one up there, or did I miss something in there?
No, you didn't do that one.
Yeah,
we didn't do 181 and 182. Okay. All right, let's go to the Franklin chapter 181. All right, let's vote on what we're voting on chapter 271, or the waivers from the local regulations, and whatever else is in here also. Section 271-6-C, parentheses C, 271-9.D, 271-9, H, I, J, K, L, and M, and 271-13, definitions, and Section 2, performance standards, I think I already said these, section 4.1.2, 4.1.3, 4.1.4. When we take care of these, we'll go back up to that last three. I thought we did both those, but those three that come under, yeah, 181. But anyway, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Okay.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, I got a comment just on these right here. Well, we'll do the whole thing. With no comment, nobody any questions or anything else, I'll entertain a motion to grant these waivers as presented. And we already made the motion and seconded. That's no more. Without any further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Archie,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Let me get to the section I think I already talked about, but we'll do it one more time. Chapter 181, Wetlands Bylaw Protection Act, Section 181-1, Section 181-2. Those are the only things in that section that they're looking for a waiver for. It's basically for the local bylaw jurisdiction. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Since this is the last one on this one, I'll just bring up. I've had this discussion on more than one time with the zoning enforcement officer, and it was my question to him was, how many times that we granted these waivers did we cause any damage to the environment or any damage to any protected wetlands? And his answer, my answer, both said the same thing. There's none. There's none in all the times that we've granted these waivers that there's been any problem, because I think the developers always worked with the Conservation Commission. I've never heard of any disrespect or anybody trying to go beyond the bounds that they should have. So I'm comfortable with voting this. And if there isn't anything else to be said, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have one more thing to say. Actually,
Okay.
it's a couple different things. I just want to go into detail about what the town of Franklin is running into. It may not be related to this hearing, but I think, with the $10 million deficit we have right now in town, and the people being on this call that are probably not in favor of this, if it's approved, it's a tough time in our lives right now. And the building department has supported the work that Fairfield has done in the past. We've tried to create a harmonious situation, a result. And, it's just that the money that we talked about earlier and the struggles that we go through right now, which are severe, I feel like if Fairfield gets us approved, their project's going to get my full attention, as it did over on Dean Avenue. And they know I'm going to be there for them. And I'm not promoting what the board's going to vote right now, either in the affirmative or in the negative right now. But what I'm saying is they're going to get my full attention. And they know how I operate. And they know that the project's going to go as well as it can go. And I have trust in them and I have faith in them. If there's anything that that Fairfield can do for the town at some point later on, depending on how this project goes, and I don't know if this is unethical for me to say it right now at this point, because after the hearing is gavelled and the decision is made, it may not be ethical for me to say this, but you've got a town that's going to be in dire straits. And Rob and John, you know how I am, and I will work with you if you get it approved, but I would like some consideration to what we've done in the past and how the town of Franklin has taken care of you. You wouldn't be here right now if we hadn't taken care of you over on Dean Avenue and given you every service that we possibly can. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I don't know if that really has anything to do with this part of the meeting, but because we're just acting on the waivers here, we haven't decided anything on the.
Well, I wanted to get it out, Mr. Chairman, just so that it kind of ties into the money part.
Well, I mean, it's talking about money. I understand the town's looking at a considerable amount of money for an override. And as we've discussed before, that Franklin's like a big engine, needs money, needs income. And I don't know how much money this actual project's going to produce in tax revenue for the town. They make money on the water, they make money on the sewer. We're already not waiving any of those fees, so it's not like, the town always tells us they have plenty of water. The water bans are just because they got an agreement or an edict passed down from DEP or federal water level or something that says they can only pump so many gallons a day. But they always tell us whenever we run into something, they got plenty of water. I mean, if the town stops and doesn't do anything, you're right. The town's going to dry up because they're not going to be able to afford to live. People aren't going to be able to afford to live here because obviously the taxes are going to go up. And if there's an override that comes down the road, people are going to have to pay for that out of their pockets too. It's always been my position back since 2006 or 2005, whenever this project, not this particular project, but a similar project came before us, that project we should have approved. But because of the way things worked out and the developer at another project gave the town a little bit more money or gave money, period. I don't think the original people here wanted to give them anything, or there was no discussion about it because they had already been set with the other side of town after they had acquired Dacey's Field and they needed some improvements in the area. The town administrator at the time worked with the developer on that other project and put on, got the necessary funds he needed to do the projects he needed to do in that area of town. That project to this day has never been finished yet. So that just goes to show you. Fairfield's been in town. They had a project in town. They finished it. I think it came out very nice. The town got a road rebuilt, drainage, water lines, and everybody was very happy. I don't see why that couldn't continue with this project here. But anyway, with that being said, I'm calling for the vote on the waivers that we just approved. Archie?
Yes.
I thought you might have fallen asleep. Sorry. Philip?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. All right, Mark, you want us to take a straw vote or you want to come up with a decision for next week? I'm not going to close the public hearing, so.
Can I refer you next, Mr. Chairman, to this mitigation letter? I just want to make sure I understand.
Okay.
So this is dated March 25th. It's on Fairfield letterhead. It's addressed to Mr. Brown and Mr. Maglio. And just walk me through this so I understand what I'm supposed to put in as a condition.
Okay, Gus,
I would defer to Rich Canetta, I believe, in this case.
Mr. Chairman, so I guess the meat of the language, the meat of the language is probably toward the bottom of page 1.
Okay.
And essentially, they're offering, and again, I know there was some conversation back and forth tonight. I'm going to refer to the letter and to Rob Hewitt's comments tonight that the applicant is offering $750,000 to be used as follows. We know for the sewer infrastructure, Fairfield has already agreed to pay a $25,000 consultant review fee, and if that review should indicate that the capacity or the pumping is insufficient, that that 750 minus the 25,000 would then be applied to either construct an on-site storage tank to store and discharge sewage off hours, or provide funds for the improvement to the town's sewer treatment system. It would be the lesser amount of those two. And then any excess proceeds, Mark, from that would then be to be used by the town as they see fit for other mitigation measures, sidewalks, connection of the trails, et cetera, et cetera. And the other area improvements are on page 2 if you flip through, and they detail those. I don't know, Rob, if I misstated any of that, please let me know. Thumbs up. So I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman, unless there are any further questions.
You all set, Mark?
I'm trying to be. So the total amount of this mitigation package is basically going to be 150. It will not exceed 150. Is that correct?
No,
I think
no.
that's, I think he
I'm
said
trying to
that's what they were
reconcile.
told.
We offer a contribution of 750. We will not exceed 150. How do
No,
I
that's
get?
for the sewer improvements. Based upon discussions with town staff, they anticipate the sewage infrastructure improvements would not exceed 150,000. So
Okay.
if they had to spend the whole 150, then the town, and correct me if I'm wrong, gets 600. But if they spent less than the 150, the town gets whatever that amount is off the 750.
That's correct.
So,
The
so if they
750
spend
figure-
if they spend 25,000 for the review, and then the consultant comes up and says, "Hey, look, you got to put a different pump or different impellers," which is the case in some of these sewage lift stations, to make it work, and it costs $50,000. Well, that's 75,000. So that, and I guess in my mind, the way I'm reading this, comes off the 750 and makes it 675.
That is correct.
Okay, I think I understand now. Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes.
not to make this any more not long of a night, but or more confusing, but this goes to Rob. Rob, what you have in your site plan as far as your frontage improvements are concerned, that's not coming out of the 750. That's included in part of your infrastructure to build out this project, correct?
Are you referring to the future mixed multi-use path or?
Well, no, it has to
just,
do with out front, your frontage. Whatever you've shown on that site plan that has the potential to get approved tonight and is written into that decision. I just want to be clear that you're building that. If there's
What are
a
you
side,
talking about, Gus? A turn
if
lane?
the-
What are we talking about? A turn lane or the wall that's going in front of the building?
No, these basically their frontage, the sidewalk, the grass area in the front of on Grove Street at the front of this property. Just want to be clear that you're building a sidewalk there over and above this 750.
Yeah, whatever we have shown on the plans
Okay.
is exactly what we're going to do.
I just
Well,
want to be clear.
Well,
Yeah.
in being clear, there's the 10-foot wide multi-use path is graphically depicted on the drawings and is not included in the construction of this project. It is in fact what we've been talking about as a potential extension of the path that the DPW is trying to make along Grove Street. And we are showing that we have made allowances or would grant necessary land or easements if that path were constructed by the town in the future.
Aside from the path, John, are you putting a sidewalk in the front of this building on Grove Street?
We do not have a sidewalk that I presume you would be referring that would be between the multi-use path and the
Right.
roadway. There's
Exactly.
no sidewalk along there.
Okay. All right. Just want to be clear.
Okay.
That's not included. Nor is the multi-use path.
But we've designed to accommodate a future path, yes.
Well, let me just get one other thing straight. I guess the sidewalk that's been being put in on Grove Street, when you guys talked about what you might mitigate here, Gus, is that on the side of the road where this project is going, or is it on the other side of the road where the sidewalk currently exists?
I believe that it's on the side that this building is on.
Okay. Well, that would make sense if the town was going to build a multi-use path to go up to the SNET rail system there, which is quite a ways up the street, I think. I'm not sure, considering that they already put a sidewalk in on the other side of the street.
The only thing I could say is John might be able to pull that up, use his Casey lends his screen to him? Or her screen to him? Is that
What is
possible,
it?
John?
Sure, yeah. What is it you'd like me to show?
Just the front of the front of the apron.
You give me a minute.
Yep.
Okay. Share.
John, can you walk us through it, please?
Yeah. So you're seeing the screen that I just drew a circle on?
Yes.
Okay. Gus, are you asking about?
Yes.
Okay. Now I can't erase my notes. So what we've done along this edge in the gray is depict the future location where a path could be. And the design parameters are those that match what Mike Maglio provided to us on the project that is south of here along Grove Street. So I believe it's either, it might vary 8 to 10 feet wide. And we made sure that we were accommodating where that could be. Whereas, building 3 and the parking is, we made sure there was enough room to fit in a short grass strip and then the future path. So the work that we are doing would be, of course, at the entrance and the crosswalk, future crosswalk there, and then where we have our emergency access. But all of that is the normal driveway widths and curbing, et cetera. So that's the extent of it, Gus.
This multi-use path doubles as a sidewalk as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thank you. No, thank you. No further right now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Nutting would like to speak.
Who? Mr. Jeff Nutting?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm sure I'm late to the game here, but, back 18 or 19 years ago, I supported a similar development with over 200 units at this location. Myself and Attorney Bobowski ended up at housing when the applicant just finally disappeared after it was approved by the ZPA. I'm here to add my support for this project again. Housing is desperately needed in this part of the woods, and this development is a class act, having supported their efforts on Dean Ave previously, and it's a shining example of the work they do. So I would hope the zoning board would rule in favor of this petition with all appropriate protections for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Casey, anybody got a hand up?
No,
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. Just to clarify the previous conversation when we were talking about removal of the waivers, and I believe Rob had said, we'll strike that and we'll take care of all of the sewage treatment on our site. I interpreted that to say that they were going to be waiving the $150,000 in that letter. Is that not the case? Did I misunderstand?
No, what he said was, the way I heard it, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm usually pretty straight on this stuff. They proposed, first off, they came up with a peer review for the town to do a study on the sewer lift station. That's $25,000. Non-refundable, non-nothing. They're willing to pay it as soon as they get approval to move forward with the project. In discussions with Mike Maglio, the town engineer, I guess that's what it says in discussion with town people, unless he just talked to somebody down the coffee shop. I doubt that, but they say that it could cost up to not more than $150,000. Now, if they get a price to do the job for $150,000, but if they can put a tank in on their property to hold the sewage and then discharge it like during the off-peak hours, which I'm not sure what peak hours are up there on, it's all industrial up there. It's not like this. I don't think there's a high usage of sewage. I don't think anybody's doing there anything industrial. It's using a lot of water or sewage. I could be wrong, but I don't know. But I just assume that. So if they're telling him that if it costs $150,000, obviously he's going to pay that. If it's he's going to pay whatever's less. In other words, if they tell him it's $150,000, he figures out he can put tanks in on his property to hold the sewage, and then discharge it at a different time. Then he's going to do that, and I think he's going to probably use the lesser. He's going to obviously use that money to do that because the town's got the sewer there. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Slightly. I just must have misinterpreted what Rob was saying at that point in time.
Yeah, no, he's on board with the 750, I guess, minus the 25,000 right off the bat, and then whatever it costs. That 150,000 there is just an estimate. It says based on discussions with town staff, we anticipate the sewage infrastructure improvements would not exceed 150,000. If they're 50,000, then the town gets more money. If they're 175,000, he can, or even if they're 50,000, if he could put tanks in on his property for 25,000 and discharge the sewer in the middle of the night, then he'd probably do that. But I don't think he's taking any money. I don't know, Rob. Did that include you're going to take that money to put your tanks into, or you're just going to eat that?
No, that what you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, was consistent with our discussions with Mr. Maglio and Mr. Brown, in that whichever was less costly, the improvements to the pump station or other infrastructure, or putting a tank on our site, it was anticipated that either of those would be appropriate to handle this potential mitigation that might be an issue and might not. So I have double checked that we could put a tank of appropriate capacity for that $150,000. That's why I put that in, because I wanted to give a clear indication of the excess, mitigation that wasn't related to anything particular, so that the town could use for future trails, sidewalks. Once that trail or the sidewalk got to our site, could be put at the appropriate grade.
Okay. Chris, you all set?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Oh, okay. Anyone else have a question or comment? All right, Mark, you want us to take a straw vote to have you draw up a decision?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like the straw vote to be in the form of a motion that would instruct me, so move to instruct council to prepare either A, an approval with conditions, or B, a denial. And I'll leave it to the mover of that motion, move on to that motion to make the appropriate fill in the blank. And then I'll take it from there and I'll prepare one or the other decisions. I'm not going to prepare both. It's a bad idea. So
okay.
I'd like instruction to do either an approval with conditions or a denial.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave the public hearing open so that we can vote on it when you bring it back to us in a couple of
You're
weeks.
just instructing me to draft something. You're not making a decision.
All right. I'll entertain a motion that we instruct council to draft a favorable approval with conditions for the project located at 121 Grove Street.
So moved.
Archie didn't come through.
Second it.
Okay, thank you. Motion made and second. Any discussion? Anybody want to say anything? Anybody's hand up, Casey?
No.
Okay. With all that being said, I'll entertain a motion. We'll vote on the motion that's before the board now to instruct the town attorney, to instruct our consulting attorney to draft an approval with conditions. Philip,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Okay, everybody's got their marching orders.
When are we back for another meeting?
The 11th, is it the 11th, Casey?
Yes, April 11th.
April 11th, Mark. Can you make that one?
I've got a trial coming up next week. When's the meeting after that?
April 25th.
I'm going to try to do it, but do you have more on the agenda for the 11th?
We got one thing on the agenda, so it'd be nice we may not have anything on the 28th, so.
No, I've got a trial scheduled for the 4th and the 5th. That's the only thing that's bugging me. But I can shoot for the 11th. And if I'm not going to get there, we'll do it. I'll put it on for the 25th. But let's put it on for the 11th, and I'll just try my best to get it to you.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue this until April 11th at 7:35, Casey?
Correct.
Yeah, we got something already, or we don't have it?
We have one.
Okay. Till 7:35 p.m.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded to continue this until 7:35 on April 11th. Roll call vote. Chair votes yes. Philip?
Yes.
Archie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What do we got? One approval of the minutes?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yep.
Has everyone read the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, I read them, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for Thursday, March 14th, 2024.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion, errors, omissions? Hearing none, roll call vote. Archie?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Casey, anything to come before the board?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Chair votes yes. Philip?
Yes.
Archie?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Have a nice
Good
night.
night.
Kurt.
Have a nice Easter.